Can I start? Thank you, Georgia, for your introduction.
Good morning, Mr. Obata.
Good morning. Okay, hey, good morning, everybody, and good evening to Japan. So my name is Obata, and please show my presentation. Thank you. I'm a board member of Japanese Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Italy, and also I am a general manager of Milano branch of MUFG Bank, a Japanese bank which has been doing corporate banking business since 1972 in Italy. I am very pleased to have an opportunity today to talk about the investment and food business of Italy and Japan. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. Firstly, let me introduce JCCI, Japanese Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Italy. The organization was established in the year 1973. The purpose of the organization is to promote economic ties between Italy and Japan, as well as to enhance relationship of membership companies. Currently, we have 190 companies as a membership. The organization provides good opportunities and occasions for the Japanese companies in Italy, as well as the Italian local companies which want to have a good access to the Japanese company to collaborate each other and thrive together. We move on to the next slide. Next slide, I move on to the main points of my presentation. I will talk about the investment from Japan to Italy. This diagram shows the stock of foreign direct investment from Japan to Italy. The bar graph shows the total amount of investment in each year, and the brown colored line graph shows the ranking of the investment in the world. The green graph indicates the ranking among the countries except for EU countries. As you can see here, the total volume of the investment from Japan to Italy is on an uptrend over the last years. And Japan is ranked in a high position as a foreign investor among the countries. Especially among non-EU countries, Japan is ranked as the second next to the USA. Okay, move on to the next slide. Okay, this slide shows the expansion of M&A from Japan to EMEA. EMEA includes Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And M&A means here the acquisition of local companies by the Japanese corporations. It is another aspect of the investment from Japan to Italy. The figures, small figures, but above the pie charts indicate the total number of M&A, and the pie charts show the geographical distribution. Southern Europe, including Italy, accounts for a small portion, but if you see the top 10 ranking list at the bottom of the list slide, Italy is always one of top 10 countries among EMEA, except for this year. Okay, go to next slide, please. Yes. This slide shows the figures and the ranking in terms of the total amount of M&A from Japan to EMEA. The figures above the pie charts indicate total amount of M&A, and the pie charts show the geographical distribution. Southern Europe, including Italy, again, accounts for a small portion. But if you see the top 10 ranking at the bottom of the slide, Italy is again always one of the top 10 countries among EMEA, except for this year. Hey, please go to next slide. Yes, this slide shows the distribution by industry and by region of Japanese companies which are doing business in Italy. In a list on the left side, according to MUFG Bank's statistics, there are nearly 260 Japanese companies doing business here in Italy. And top 5 industries are machinery, automobiles, electronics, apparel, and trading. So far, the number of Japanese companies in the food sector, food industry, is limited. Food sector is included in others in the list on the left side. And just for your reference, so region-wise, more than 60% of the Japanese companies are located in Lombardia state. Next slide, please. Actually, this is the last slide of my presentation, and this indicates some example of Japanese companies which are doing business in the food sector in Italy. As you can see, number 1, Company J. This is a trading arm of a Japanese food products manufacturer. And Company J promotes sales of Japanese food products, and it operates Japanese rice fields in Italy, north part of Italy. Number 2, Company V. Company V produces tomato and zucchini and exports the frozen products of these vegetables to Japan. Number 3, Company Y. Company Y produces beverage products in the Netherlands and sells in Italy. And lastly, Company S. This company operates a Japanese restaurant chain in Italy. As I said, the investment by the Japanese company in the food sector, food industry in Italy is still small so far. The increase of the investment by the Japanese corporates in this sector is highly expected. And Japanese Chamber of Commerce and Industry and MUFG Bank are actively supporting and promoting the investment from Japan. That's all from my side, and I'll hand over to Mr. Ide. He will talk about the trade of food products between Italy and Japan. Thank you very much for your listening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Obata. Thank you, Georgia. Buongiorno a tutti. I'm Kentaro Ide, Director General of JETRO Milan office. The JETRO is a national organization from Japan to promote the Japanese goods to overseas and to invite direct investment from overseas to Japan. We have 51 offices in Japan and have 76 offices in 55 countries abroad. Today, I would like to present you the general situation of food business between Japan and Italy. And I will talk about some points towards to more deep development of businesses among us. I show you my slide. Okay. It's better to see the data of 2019 before the pandemic than that of 2020 to comprehend the tendencies. The import of agricultural and fishery products of Italy in 2019 was 45 billion and 458 million euros. This is a 10.7% portion of total import of the country. But from Japan, it was 21 million euros, and it occupies only 0.5% of the total amount of import from Japan. Then let's check the Japanese import. Okay. The Japanese import of food sector was 66 billion and 670 million dollars. And it has 9.2% of the total amount of import. From Italy, it was 1 billion and 882 million euros, euros, and the share of foodstuffs in total import from Italy was 24.3%. It's very large portion. So comparing the portion of import of foodstuffs in each country in the whole import amount from the world, we can calculate it that Japanese import of Italian foodstuffs is 80 times higher ratio than Italian import from Japan. Trading the agriculture, fishery products, and foodstuffs are very important because they are the local products connecting directly and bravely to the local economy. We have to aware that to promote their economic activities means to promote the local economy as a whole. Now, you may know that in Japan, it had occurred the boom of Italian culture cuisine in the last of 80s. Before that movement in Japan, the European cuisine had meant the French cuisine, but had changed. Then I was a university student at the university called Tokyo University of Foreign Studies. It's not famous Tokyo University, different, and it has several departments of languages: English, French, Russian, Chinese, Hindi, so on. We have a annual festival called Gaigosai. At Gaigosai, the students of every department open the restaurant of the cuisine of their languages. We Italian departments served pastas, wines, tiramisu, and it was one of the popular restaurants reflecting the situation of boom of Italian foods. And after 30 years of that in Japan, we can say the Italian cuisine is widely accepted as our daily food, with various from the authentic ones to the Japanized ones. And this situation is reflected to the amount of import of Italian foodstuffs. Then, how was the diffusion of Japanese cuisine in Italy? In the 90s in Italy, there was a few Japanese restaurants here, and the main customer were the Japanese businessmen that came to work here for the preferable good economic situation in Italy. In the 2000s, it gradually increased the sushi restaurants that were run by the chefs non-Japanese. Then most of restaurants of foreign cuisine was the Chinese one, that people can save money compared with the Italian restaurants. And the sushi restaurants were only the minor alternatives compared with the Chinese ones. Maybe the situation had changed in 2015 at the EXPO Milano, the Japan pavilion that I had been in charge of its Secretary General. We had opened a food court which contains the restaurants well known among Japanese people: Koko Ichibanya, Moss Burger, Sagami, Kyotaru, Imahan, Kakiyasu. And it also had Minukichi, an authentic kaiseki restaurant with corner, with the first phase of the expo, there was a newspaper article that said that price of Minukichi was too high, so people cannot enjoy that cuisine with such a highest price. But after 2 or 3 months, Minukichi became a very popular restaurant, and sometimes it was full of reservations. And at the food court, there was often made a long queue. This event, Expo, had made an opportunity to make so many Milan and Italian people to touch with the real Japanese cuisine directly. And probably it was a launch part of the boom of Japanese cuisine in Italy. Let me return to our discussion. So the history of development of Italian cuisine in Japan is almost 30 years, and that of Japanese cuisine in Italy is only 5 or 6 years. I would say that the difference is expressed to the difference of the amount of export foodstuffs between 2 countries. To realize my mission to diffuse the Japanese foods, there remains too many things to do for me. There are some points to think about. The first thing, the matter of correct Japanese cuisine. It is the argument such as the California laws can be included in Japanese cuisine. But to my opinion, we don't need to take any activities like sushi police. The culture seems to be propagated with the forms of memes, as Richard Dawkins have found. Memes are like genes that changes automatically and randomly. So it was a very possible process that Karashi mentaiko spaghetti, as for some Italian people, fa incazzare, was invented by Japanese people. And it's not strange phenomenon if Italian people make miso shiru with funghi porcini or piccolo temari sushi with acciughe marinate. They are not erratic things, but some part of the skirts of the mountain of food culture. In the center of the mountain, there will be authentic things. The Japanese original high qualified foodstuffs will take part of that, and within the complex means activities, the export foodstuffs from Japan will gradually increase, I think. The second point is the difference of the system between the EU and Japan. The system of food sanitation of the EU is very different from that of Japan, and Japanese enterprises are not accustomed to it. Italian importers that use high qualified products for restaurants welcome seafood from Japan. The quality of sushi in Italy is very improving, but there's still a less kind of fish compared with that of Japan. So it's a solution to import from Japan some kind of fish, but to export a fillet or fish from Japan to EU, the processing facility in Japan have to adapt to the EU standard called HACCP. And it is needed to have authorization by the EU authority. To have this authorization, it takes huge amount of cost. And since the enterprises of this field are mainly small and medium-sized, so it's very difficult to adapt it. I show you the other issue. We make osechi ryori for New Year's celebration. It often includes kurikinton, a kind of sweet chestnut with sweetened paste of sweet potatoes. To make this paste to auspicious golden colors, it is used dried gardenia fruit, and this food coloring are used widely in Japan. But that is prohibited to use to foods in the EU. So if the Japanese enterprises normally use this food color to their products, they have to remove that coloring and have to reconfigure their products to try to export them to the EU. I told only inconveniences to Japanese side, but there might be the inconveniences to Italian enterprise that seek to export their products to Japan. It's natural that there are difference from difference of the system between two subjects. So the enterprises have to make efforts, and both authorities also have to make efforts to harmonize the systems. And actually, they perseveringly continue this action. To conclude, I say that there are two aspects interacting the food culture, and their relation is like quadratic equation. The first variable are the methods of our recipes, how they propagate from the country of origin and how they are changed at the new country. The second variable are the foodstuffs used to cuisine. Is this used original Japanese or Italian foodstuffs or replaced substitutes or used brand new materials not originally used? How can we evaluate Japanese or Italian cuisine that used brand new foodstuffs or new arranged recipes? I think the cases can be judged that the interaction of two cultures has been widened and deepened. Now, new arranged cuisines are different from original one naturally, but they are the variations inspired by the originals. So those phenomena prove the strengths of connection between two cultures. Maybe you can agree soon if you remember the evolving ramen trend in Italy. Thank you for attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Obata and Mr. Ide, for your extremely interesting presentations.
Yeah, really, I would like to thank you both, Mr. Ide and Mr. Obata, first of all, to taking your time to come today, because I'm aware that I really forced you both to come and share with us and our students. We have a lot of students today with us, following us. And so I'm really grateful to both of you. And I just want to underline how the Japanese Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Italy is a very, very important partner for Ca' Foscari since 2016, when former President Yamanaka Takeshi signed an agreement with our university. Since then, our students could participate in a yearly meeting with you and your companies. So I really hope that this tradition will be bringing on in the future as well. And since we have a lot of our students here with us, I'm sure that they have questions. I see that our former students are here today as presenter too, but we will meet them later. So yeah, I leave to the floor. I have a lot of questions too, but first of all, I would like to hear what our students are interested in asking to you. Thank you again.
I'm sorry, I have a question. It's possible to ask. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
please go
sure.
ahead, Aldo.
Okay, thank you very much for the very interesting panel. I'd like to address a question to Mr. Obata, if possible. Okay. Hello. I heard that you mentioned that, I mean, you showed some figures about Japanese investment in Italian market, and they were both a chart regarding the field and the area in which those investments were located. And I think you mentioned that in the future, from now on, the investment in the food sector will probably bloom. They will probably be more encouraged by the Japanese market or Japanese financial institution. But being born and raised in South Italy, it wasn't very clear to me that all those investments were located mostly on North Italy. And I can understand that this happened, especially when we are talking about manufacture fields or investment or trading and so on. But if we're talking about food, I mean, South Italy is full of excellence and probably an interesting company in which Japanese company would like to invest. Do you think that if the investment in the food sector will grow, also South Italy will be a center for investment from Japan? All the trend of Japan investing in North Italy will continue regardless the shift on towards the food market? Thank you very much.
Thank you for your question. So yes, Regarding investments, yes, as you said, so far, so historically, so investment from Japan or foreign countries to Italy is centralized in north part of Italy because of industrialized area. As you know, of course, North Italy is more industrialized than the south part of Italy, and especially machinery, automobiles, such sectors located in north part of Italy. That's why investment from foreign countries focus on investment in north part of Italy. But when it comes to food sectors, yes, as you say, a little bit landscape is different. So as you say, yes, in the food sector, food business is more, of course, north part of Italy also very active, but also south part of Italy also one of the attractive area which is actively doing the food business, food industry. That's why I think, yes, we can see the potentiality or increasing opportunity to be invested in the food sector in south part of Italy. Yes, already, we have several cases, as I said in the example. Some of the company, Japanese company, invested already south part of Italy. And I think we see some cases which will follow suit. So I'd like to support and enhance investment from Japan in south part of Italy.
Thank you very much. Just another brief addition from my previous question. I mean, a lot of ex-students like me already graduated are from South. And I saw between my colleagues, my past colleagues, that many persons that actually are in the Sud, in South Italy, they would like to, for example, do some entrepreneurship with Japan. Can you at least tell me the first, how can I say it in English? The first structural aspect of South Italy that could discourage or do not incentive a Japanese investor to invest in South Italy? Can you name at least one structure? I don't know, lack of communication, lack of infrastructure. What do you think will be the first cabe for Japanese investor
to invest? When we think about the investment, it's between the north and south.
I mean,
yes, yeah. When the foreign investors think about investment, we need to think about so-called R of investment, ROI, return on investment. So it matters also productivity or return on investment. So when we see the potentiality in terms of ROI or productivity in south part of Italy, or investment in south part of Italy, yes, of course, it makes economic sense, and it will be a good drive for Japanese companies to invest. So it's a matter of calculation of return on equity or return on investment or productivity.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for all your questions. We have to go to the next panel now, but if you want to continue this discussion even later, we're going to have a talk session when we can discuss problems like these, extremely meaningful. So yeah, and this talk session is going to start after the next panel. And right now I'm introducing you